Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Freelancers Tea Break, the short and sweet podcast you can enjoy with a couple. This week I wanted to talk a bit more about, well, I am a month in now to having Discord available as a alternative community for those who use Facebook. So I have the Facebook group. Okay, let me take this back a second. Right. I've had the Facebook community for the freelance lifestyle for about a decade now, just over a decade. And I love the community itself. But with everything happening, initially I decided to move to the community. And now I've decided I'm going to run the Discord community alongside the Facebook community to give people a choice. So for a lot of people, the Discord community will feel safer, especially those from marginalized communities. But also, it's a lot of fun in there, and I thought it might be useful to share some of the things I learned, especially if you're thinking about moving your community, and Discord is one of the ones that you might consider. I'm going to share some of the things I've learned for a month of running that community and how it's different to Facebook. So let's first of all start off with Discord. If you've never used it before, if you use Slack, you're probably slightly more familiar with the kind of format of it. But essentially what it is a community that it's not a social network. It is just a community app. And it's got different channels that you can set up. So you can have, so I've got on there like a general chat channel, but there's also hobbies channels. And people can talk about everything from books to Dungeons and Dragons. They've even got a Dungeons and Dragons game going on. But there's also forum bits in there, so you can leave questions and even voice and video rooms, so you can jump in there and do some co-working or chat with others. So it is quite different in comparison to Facebook. And when you initially join, I think it can feel quite overwhelming, especially once it becomes established, there's usually several channels and people aren't necessarily sure where to go. So one of the things I quickly learned, I think, that there is a lot of cool bells and whistles that you can add onto your Discord, but less is more at the start. So when the community is just starting, it's better to have less channels, less places for people to explore, because then people don't get as lost. So I think I keep having ideas for other channels that I can add, but instead what I've done is sort of found ways. So for example, I've got the hobbies as a forum section, which means that people can go in and add lots of different, they can add in like a music chat or a game chat or board games chat or anything like that, or craft. But it's not really overwhelming in one place, and it doesn't mean I'm adding lots of different channels. It's just a different post in a forum. So it can be really overwhelming when people first start. And I've recorded sort of a video to help people get through it. And also when people join, there's like an onboarding system that it takes you through so you can decide what you see and what you don't. The other really nice thing I think for a lot of people is that you can choose notifications. So you can choose which channels you want to hear from or whether you want to hear from people at all. I've set it as a default to people will only be notified if they're tagged in something, so that it's not overwhelming from the start. But people can subscribe, which means that they get the notifications to whichever ones they want. So I think that's a really good. There's a lot of options in there, but don't do everything at once because it's terrifying when people join, especially if they're not used to Discord. So I think, yeah, less is more is definitely the first one. The second lesson I had very early on is it's less obvious who everyone is. So I did have lots of people coming from the Facebook group and joining. But because you can choose your own username and you don't have to upload a profile picture, you can use whatever you want, really. I realised that there were people joining and I had no idea who they were. And I either had to work it out by them introducing themselves later and I'd see their website, or, just things that they'd said. They can, when you join, you can add tags to your profile. So things like what your industry is and what your location is, things like that. So you can kind of work it out from that. But that made me realize that I need to add something in to basically say to everybody, we're not going to necessarily know who you are. So make sure you introduce yourself and you might want to use the same name that you've used elsewhere so that we recognize you. But actually, one of the really nice things, and this is the third thing I was going to mention, is it's really lovely that some people have left the Facebook group because they've left Facebook entirely, but they've missed the community, and they've said when they joined that they're really pleased that there's a Discord because it meant that they could join something and have that community without being restricted to Facebook, which is kind of exactly what I wanted, for it to be an option. So it's really lovely that it's brought some people back in. So the fourth thing is conversation topics are so wide ranging on there, and that's not something I had in the Facebook group. I think in the Facebook group, it was a bit more, people felt like almost they could only really ask freelance questions, or I think it became somewhere where people only really posted if they found something useful or they wanted to ask a question. There wasn't the community that there was when I initially started it. And now people are sharing what they're thinking of the latest books they're reading, or sharing their crafting things, but also asking for tech tips, or sharing a tool that they've loved, or sharing what they came for through Access to Work, all sorts of different things. And it's really wide ranging now, which is, I love that. I love that people can just kind of drop in and share whatever they want to do. And hopefully that will mean people will connect more as well. And I've already seen a little bit of that, like people who haven't known each other at all from the community have met on Discord and got to know each other more. So that's been really good. I think point five is just generally, I think I jumped in and thought everybody would kind of pick it up straight away. And because Facebook does, Facebook allows you to just jump in, and it's very easy to find everything. So it takes a little bit more work, and even down to posting, it takes more work. On Facebook, it doesn't necessarily matter if people don't post like every day or regularly. But with the Discord, it's a little bit more obvious. So it requires more work to kind of get the conversations going. But when they go, it's so lovely to see everything and the threads being busy, and it's lovely. I'm really enjoying it. And as it grows, it's really lovely to see people helping each other out as well and tagging each other. And there's a few people in there that have been absolutely fantastic at helping me. And I'll tag some of them in the notes, actually, because I've had a power hour and I've also had other people sort of shouting out some support and things like that. So overall, I'm really pleased. I didn't expect it at all to be anywhere near as big as the Facebook group, and I'm absolutely fine with that. I just want it to be a safe space that is available for people if they need it, which is exactly what I wanted from the Facebook group in the first place, to have a community of freelancers who can ask each other questions and don't feel embarrassed about anything they're asking. So overall, I think Discord was the right move for me right now, especially as it's free. I have signed up, I think, for Boost or whatever it's called. Nitro, that's what it's called. Which has sort of added a few bits and bobs onto it. But you don't need to. So if you are looking at a community and you don't want to do Facebook, I would really recommend it. If you are curious about how I decided on Discord, I did do an episode a few episodes ago all about all the different options I looked at and why I ended up with Discord. But I think it feels like I made the right decision. And it's lovely getting that little notification on the desktop app when something happens. So that's a little insight into the Discord server. I would love to know if you've joined it, or if you have tried Discord and weren't sure about it. If you've got any questions, do feel free to drop me a message. And you're welcome to join the Discord. I've popped the link in the notes. So feel free to come and join us. You can lurk or you can join in as much as you like. And I hope you have a wonderful freelance week.